written a couple of things. Yeah, first of all, that I haven't tried any other like Wurlitz or Rhodes keyboards. I thought the piano was okay in terms of the sound. Right, so I'll start from the beginning. Okay, let's let that die away for a second. So that's I think that's a really skillfully built up minute of music. You're introducing the vocals from quite early on. You've got some atmospheric synth as well as the actual chord base in synth pads. So I really like those effects you've got. I was recording a piece of my own, I was mixing it yesterday and the day before that, and yeah, very, very different style of music, but actually a similar idea where I had an introduction and I had to try and build up tension, and I was using effects around the actual structural skeleton of the song. So that is very good. The other thing I was going to say about the vocals is that I do feel that they are sitting in the mix well. So my attention is drawn to them. They're sitting above the music. In terms of the placement and the reverb that you've used, I think that sounds good. And obviously harmonically it's fitting with the chords that you've got as well. So regardless of whether you're using original vocals or an a cappella, whatever you're doing, you've definitely demonstrated kind of correct use of, or an understanding of harmony is probably the best way to put it. Sounds good. Okay. Now the other thing I like about the song is it's about 4 or 5 minutes long, but it shows good structure. So yeah, it's 5 minutes long. It shows structure and it shows dynamics. So obviously it gets going after a minute, but then when it breaks down here, that's very nice. You've got dynamics even in that piano riff. So. Okay, and again I'll just let that reverb die down. Okay, now if we listen to the piano part here, so I was just making the point that was a nicely handled breakdown with which adds dynamics to the piece. It's no point having it all loud or all quiet all the way through. So from here. Right, now what I would say is that that second piano part is perhaps not necessary. So again, that kind of thought of when you're finishing off a composition, just going through everything and checking whether it's necessary at every point. So should you add stuff in, or is there stuff that should be removed? I would say actually I would get rid of that piano part on track 7, and the reason I'd get rid of it is how the voicing of piano chords has to adapt in terms of the pitch range. So if I'm playing, if I'm playing at that pitch range, then it sounds okay, because that's around middle C, all those chords. But if I play an octave lower, you know, those chords, they're okay, but they're starting to get muddy. And if I went an octave down even further, you know, it's becoming too muddy, and you can't really pick out the notes one by one. So I think on its own, that's probably best. I don't think keyboards layer in the same way that you might layer, you know, double track or triple track vocals or potentially guitars. I think pianos, there are different ways of making it a bigger sound, I would say, rather than doubling it up in octaves. Now, that was one thing I was going to suggest, actually, regarding the piano part, which is that it is the style of music where you could easily just stick with this same riff all the way through. But it's the kind of, again, this is so subjective, but that's the point at which, personally, I would be looking to develop the piano riff and maybe take it somewhere else harmonically, because I'm always trying to surprise the listener in a good way, but surprise them harmonically, so it takes them somewhere where they're not expecting. So you've got your piano riff that goes something like, and you have to excuse the rhythm not being quite spot on, but so it's basically two chords. It's a B flat and then the A flat, and the B flat is a B flat minor, and the A flat is an interesting one. It sounds suspended because you've got the first and the fifth, and you've got the sixth note of the scale, and then you've got an F minor over A flat. Okay? Now, you could do that, but you could actually develop that riff a bit further and maybe experiment with different bass notes. So all of a sudden that B flat minor chord could become a G flat major 7, which would sound like this. And that's at the point at which it would become a G flat. There's the G flat, there's the B flat minor chord, but hang on, that's the third, that's the fifth, and that's the major 7th. So you can do that kind of thing where you can develop the piano riff. That could be in a breakdown, or that could be in a later part of the track. So and you could hold on that E flat and then go back to the original riff. You've got all sorts of choices, so and that'd be one idea. I'm just experimenting now, but I think you could have a descending pattern, so you've got and then something for another bar before going back to the, so I'm just looking for that. Something like that. Anyway, so what I'm doing is basically playing pretty much the same riff in the right hand, but I'm descending in the left down a scale. So and at that point I'm making a 4-note chord in the right hand. And then it's up to you what you might do with that last bar of the pattern before you go back to the B flat. But anyway, Toby, I think that's what I would say. That's fairly subjective. as I said, that style of music doesn't necessarily need any kind of harmonic development beyond your piano riff, and it's only my point of view that if I was playing that kind of track, I would be kind of thinking, right, when we get to this section later on, I'm going to have some fun with the chords. So overall, it's a really nicely balanced track. The way you focused on the important parts, such as the vocal melody, and you've got them mixed so that they sit above the music, I think that's good. You've got a structure of song which has dynamics within it, so you've got breakdowns and you've got various musical tricks or techniques to build up tension, and it's all harmonically there, and the rhythms of the parts work together as well. So I'm impressed, very well done. I hope you've enjoyed the course, and best of luck with your future music productions, and keep in touch. Well done.